I'm a ninja here. I hope you're doing well. Now, this is not my normal channel. This is the Real Estate Ninja, my brother. People say we look alike. I don't think so. We're going to talk about bank information and what Jamie Dimon just did by dumping a bunch of billions and billions and over $100 billion in JP Morgan stock. The reason why, we're going to talk about something first, Warren Buffett. But first, just so you know, it's my brother's channel. He doesn't really have a bro hawk. It's more of a faux hawk. If you don't mind subscribing, it would help him out. He asked me, he's super busy, crushing it, getting ready for his next venture with real estate. And so he asked me to jump on his channel. Crazy, I know. All right, so here we go. And just so you know, this story is so big, I have got the largest piece of cardboard I could get for this story. But first, we're gonna talk about a story about banking stocks out of Market Insider. It's entitled, this just came out. Warren Buffett dumped a bunch of bank stocks before their epic tumble this year, escaping some major pain. Now, just so you know, they are the smartest guys in the room. Jamie Dimon, Warren Buffett, they all know. The reason why they're so smart, not only because they've been doing it a long time, they have access to so much information. The more information you have, the better prepared you are for a crash. The better prepared you are for a boom cycle. That's why I've been getting everyone ready for the real estate crash course. There's 80% off links down below. If it's not $199, that means it's not 80%, okay? But just so you know, there's some few down below for today. Here's the deal. In the spring, I started talking about how everything's collapsing, blah, blah, blah. And people were mocking, saying that Warren Buffett's buying like crazy. And I said, you're going to find out in two cycles. When I say a cycle, I'm talking about a quarter, 2 quarters, how much you don't know about what Warren Buffett's doing. And so right now, it's just finally coming out, this story of him dumping bank stocks before. Now, I warned about the banking crash last November. I said it was going to happen in the first and second quarters of 2023. Happened exactly like it was. As a matter of fact, I think we got like 30,000 subscribers on my channel about that, right? Very important for people to realize, because it's easy to identify these cycles, all right? Now we've got Jamie Dimon selling a bunch of stock, but let's talk about Warren Buffett. It says right here, Warren Buffett's mass sale of bank stock is looking mighty shrewd given the Wall Street troubles, Wall Street's troubles this year. Since the start of 2020, the famed investor Berkshire Hathaway has exited a bunch of lenders that have seen big sell-offs this year. Wells Fargo, which is down 5%, BNY Mellon, sorry, Goldman Sachs, M&T Bank, US Bank, and PNC Financial. One notable exception among the disposals is JP Morgan, but even Jamie Dimon's banking behemoth has trailed the S&P 500 in 2023. But it's interesting because Jamie Dimon's about to sell, or he's already working on it right now. Berkshire's second quarter earnings show the market value of its banking, financial, and insurance stocks was $67 billion at the end of June, with a cost base of $24 billion. That chunk of the conglomerate stock portfolio was worth $102 billion and had a $40 billion cost base at the close of 2019. Moreover, it made up just 19% of the total value of Berkshire Hathaway's portfolio in June, down from 41%, underlining the scale of Berkshire's disposals in the period. Buffett explained in April that he soured on the banks because some of them were inflating their portfolios, their profits, and misleading investors by valuing their assets at cost instead of the market value. That's exactly what's happening right now with commercial mortgage-backed securities. And I have to explain this. This is very, very serious. When these banks crashed in the spring, the one asset class that no other banks wanted to touch, no hedge funds, nobody wants to touch them, and it's this SVB portfolio of commercial mortgage-backed securities. Now understand, commercial mortgage-backed securities encompasses all kinds of different properties, large businesses and commercial factories, Home Depot centers, retail centers, things like that, but it also encompasses multi-family real estate, right? And so these are failing across the nation because of the higher interest rates. And that's the one asset class that no bank wants to touch. This is why. It's a failed, non-performing asset. The second, because like what Warren Buffett's trying to explain to you right now is what I'm explaining to you. They are overpricing. They are inflating the price, the values of these assets. And the second that one sells, because no one wants to touch it for market value, right? Face value. And they like, hey, we know that those are unperforming. These are bad loans. But the second somebody buys it, it now revalues every other loan out there. And that's how you have to understand. It's just like a stock sale, very similar. A stock is only worth what the last share sold for in that millisecond. That's it. And it doesn't matter if it was a sale of 1,000 shares or a sale of 1 share. That's what values it, that second. Boom, 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 boom. And that's, people don't understand that. And so right now, the whole world is looking at this one batch of commercial mortgage-backed securities, and they're afraid that when somebody comes out and goes, okay, we'll buy them at this price, and even, I'm telling you, the Federal Reserve is afraid. The FDIC is afraid. They're like, and I know what they're doing right now. They are telling banks, no, you're not allowed to pay. They're sitting there though, hey, we'll pick it up for pennies on the dollar. And like, no, 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 this is the base price. Because if we go any lower than this, everything's screwed. This is very akin to what happened, the horse trading that was happening while Lehman Brothers was collapsing in 2008. They were trying to get the Japanese investors from all over the world to come in and buy. Nobody wanted to buy. The Federal Reserve was telling banks they have to pick up certain parts of their books, buy certain paper, because if they released it to the world how much these assets went, pennies on the dollar, everything else crumbles, including these other banks. So certain banks like Wells Fargo were forced to buy these assets, all right? Hope people understand how that works. But that's what Warren Buffett's saying right now. He also blasted them for making the basic error of mismatching their assets and liabilities. For example, they took in customer deposits that could be withdrawn instantly and used them to buy long-dated bonds. Very, very important. This is, now again, we've talked about this before on my other channel. Long-dated bonds and these bonds that banks were holding to maturity, it screwed them. Because as the Fed started running rates up, it made the face value of these bonds, or not the face value, the hold to maturity, but the worth of these bonds collapsed, all right? Because why would anyone invest $10,000 in a $10,000 bond yielding, let's say, 4%, when they could go out and take 10%, $10,000, and go buy a bond that's yielding 4.5%? See my point? It's the same dollar amount. Why would I do that? So the value has to come down. And that's what is collapsing all these banks' balance sheets right now. And that is why they're putting those on loan with the Fed and taking cash to make their banks solvent again. All right? Very, very important that this is happening. Bank stocks have tumbled this year for a few reasons. Investors fear a repeat of this spring's regional banking crisis, when a trio of lenders imploded after worries about unrealized losses in their bond portfolios spurred customers to yank their deposits in droves. It's interesting that they don't even bring up what happened in July and August, because we had another couple of banks fail. But they don't want to bring it out. That, oh no, it's 3 banks, it's not 5, it's not 6, it's not 7. They're trying their hardest to keep this out of the news. All the while, Warren Buffett sells his stock. Jamie Dimon sells his stock. What are you doing right now to prepare for this crash? And I want you to understand, as the banks fail and interest rates keep going up, more and more banks are getting tighter in their lending standards. Yet they're not. There are banks out there like Rocket Mortgage and other lenders, home lenders, that are easing things. They're saying, hey, instead of 3% to get a government conforming mortgage, we'll just give us 1%. Okay, anyone that's coming in with just 1% should not buy a house right now, because I guarantee you they don't even have the right reserves set up. But that's another thing that people skate. They go, oh, you know what? You could use your 401k as reserves. It's this light thing. And they know that most people will never have the extra money in the bank when they lose their job to stay solvent and keep their house. It is a massive plan. And that's why you see Berkshire Hathaway moving to a large cash position. They have one of the largest cash positions they've ever had in history right now, because they're getting ready for the crash. Are you? Now let's dive into this next story, because I think it's very, very important. Oh wait, hold on. There was one more thing. It's there. Check this out. It says it's worth emphasizing that Buffett and his team haven't sworn off banks entirely, and they haven't escaped this year's downturn unscathed. Bank of America is still Berkshire's #2 holding after Apple, and its stock has plunged 23% since the start of January. Berkshire also holds positions in other banks like Citigroup and Jefferies, and credit card providers like American Express and Capital One. So the reason why I want to bring that up is this. Everybody was sitting there because all the news stories in the spring were like trying to build up the bank stocks. Don't worry, don't worry. Warren Buffett still #2 position is Bank of America, and even Warren Buffett got caught in that. So he sold off a bunch of bank stocks and he took a massive loss in Bank of America, right? So he was wrong there. But check this out. There's a little bit more behind the scenes, because I believe he's getting ready to take a big hit on Bank of America. American Express announced back in the spring that they have set aside a massive hoard of cash to prepare for people not paying their credit cards. Now, what's more important about that, it's not like Citigroup or Citibank came out and said, hey, we're gonna, with our Capital One card or whatever, we're gonna set aside money, because you gotta look at the level of borrower that qualifies for an everyday run-of-the-mill credit card or an Amex card. Totally different level of borrower. So when Amex comes out and goes, hey, we're seeing on the horizon a ton of defaults and people are going to stop making their credit card payments, that is gnarly. That is not good at all. Because their level of borrower is a higher level of borrower. Okay, I'm not saying that if you could be a high level of borrower, great credit score, and not want an Amex card. I don't want one. And we've got 800, 780, 850 credit scores. But my point being is that and so we have different ones for different reasons. My point being is, by and large, Amex is known for their type of borrowers. Okay, now, this is the big